Jennifer, I need some space, please, okay? Thank you. Updating you on today, because it's been a rough day. I just got done doing 60 minutes of tapping. I did some breath work, and I've just like sat with my emotions and just kind of sifted through them all. My girls are both sleeping. Well, I don't know if they're sleeping, but my youngest is definitely sleeping, and then it's quiet time. So maybe my 3-year-old is quietly playing in her room. Or maybe she's sleeping. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's quiet and it's peaceful in here. So I finally had like the space to deal with what I was dealing with, or like not dealing with, clearly, because I stuffed it down and kind of pushed it away and kind of kept moving through life and not dealing with what I had to deal with. And it definitely came back with a vengeance and like a volcano, and it just erupted when there was too much pressure. So is that how volcanoes erupt? I'm really exhausted after tapping, because like I was just like bawling my eyes out and just like all these emotions and things that here are my takeaways from it. Okay, I'm grieving, or I grieved. I just grieved, right? I grieved the pregnancy that I wanted to have. I didn't expect my third pregnancy to be a solo pregnancy while my husband's overseas. I didn't expect that. So I'm definitely grieving my pregnancy. I'm grieving all the things that he's unable to do. I'm grieving all the things that I'm unable to do with him. I'm grieving of the life that I had envisioned for us right now in this moment. And there's some sadness around there too. And then also like I had to forgive myself. I did this like ancient Hawaiian technique on tapping, and I jack up the name every single time I say it. Ho'oponopono. Maybe I'll type it out here, right there. It was a forgiveness tapping technique to just forgive myself, right? Forgive myself for having expectations. Forgive myself for being let down. Forgive myself for feeling sad. Forgiving myself for being mad at myself for not keeping it together, right? Like I'm human and I can only keep it together and be strong for so long. But that's where resilience comes into play. I want to be resilient, right? Like, so I know life's not always going to be happy, go lucky. Like, stuff's going to happen. And so when it does happen, like, how resilient are you? In the tapping, I was grieving, like I said, had to deal with that. And then also once I was done grieving, I realized that I felt really sad for my husband too. I was just sad that he couldn't be a part of these things. I'm just sad for the girls too, because they're seeing their friends with both parents around, and then it's us. I was sad because I just went through we have a drawer of like crafts and activities that we do, and it was like jam-packed with stuff, and like we were going through it to get rid of some stuff, and Juniper kept saying, no, that's for daddy, no, that's for daddy, no, that one's for daddy, I made this for daddy. And so it's just like we literally have a whole drawer of activities from like the last year that we've made for daddy, and he's never seen them before. So just like sadness on that stuff, that he's not able to just do things and just be a part of the girls' lives and in the way that I know he wants to be a part of. So yeah, like all of that is very heavy, and I thought that I was dealing with it. I thought that by acknowledging it, like I did, I acknowledged, okay, yes, I'm sad. Okay, yes, this does suck. Okay, yes, this is hard. I acknowledged it, but I didn't really like fully process it. I didn't really fully move through it. I kind of shortcutted it and kind of bypassed a little bit and was like, okay, yeah, this is hard. And also life is still great and life is still going, right? I don't have time and space to just deal with this and do this whole healing thing right now, because like we've got a household to take care of. We've got kids to take care of. We got, just things to do and places to be, like a business to run. I didn't give myself space. I didn't give myself permission to just pause and just be sad and just grieve. So I'm glad that I was able to tap through that. It was really powerful. And then also from that, I realized too that, well, I knew it before, but there's no amount of like obsessively cleaning. Like last night I cleaned the carpets in the girls' room, and I cleaned like the couch, like with that little attachment, like I was getting all the stuff in there. Like there's no amount of cleaning that's going to help me deal with my emotions. Like I realized that I was trying to create space physically in my house so that I could energetically and spiritually and emotionally have space to go through this stuff, and that cleaning wasn't working. So I was like, all right, we just gotta just sit with this. I've been putting it off for a while. We just gotta sit and just get in front of the mirror and just do all of my work through it. Oh, after I grieved and went through all that too, and had my sadness and like I just crying, that energy from like that was in like my chest that felt like constricted and like in my heart, it moved up through my chest. I mean, this is my throat. So we'll move from my chest and my heart up to my throat. So then my throat, I felt like there was like something, it's like kind of hard to swallow, or like you feel a little lump in your throat when you're swallowing. That's kind of how I felt. And I realized that I just have to give myself permission to be human. Like I am so good at putting up a front. I am so good at performing and pretending that like everything is okay. I am so good at just rolling through the punches and just chalking it up, right? Like, okay, yes, this is what it is. Okay, and then we're gonna keep moving forward. And part of it's like how I was raised, strong Black single mother and strong Black women around me. And then also part of it is just like the athlete in me too, right? There's no time when you mess up a play to like hang your head and like sulk, and you gotta get your butt back on defense because you turn the ball over. In that time that you react and like take a second to just like have some type of emotion on the court that's like a lower vibrating emotion, like like anger, frustration, or like sadness, or like low confidence or doubt, or whatever that is. Like the second you have one of those moments in the game, that gives the other team an advantage. That like is how the other team like scores, or they gain momentum, and like how things shift, right? Like that's like an error on your part is what it seemed like. It's what it kind of appears like in the athletic world. Part of that for me, like why I always just like keep moving forward, is because like there's no time for that. Like what happens if you hang your head, or you get caught up in what was or what isn't? They're scoring on the other end of the court. And so I kind of bring that into life too. So I always am like performing, or just like everything's okay, and just moving through it and kind of bypassing. And that's kind of where I run into trouble. And I definitely ran into trouble these last couple of days. I mean, it's been building for sure, and then just having just that feeling the weight of my healing is my responsibility, feeling the weight of just being responsible for like everything, right? Like myself, my healing, my kids, my household, like other people too that we're helping out, and just like other people like my clients, and just feeling just responsible for just like everything. So feeling that weight of responsibility too, and just having to be good all the time, definitely. That came up in my tapping session as well. Oh, but just like being able to just be vulnerable, openly vulnerable. So like this right here, like what I'm doing is like extremely uncomfortable. So that's why I'm kind of like, what else happened in my tapping session? Ooh, what else was, like, because it's just hard to just let yourself be vulnerable in front of someone else, right? Because then I know that vulnerability is a strength, right? Vulnerability is not a weakness, right? It's so brave and courageous for you to be vulnerable and speak your truth and all that stuff, but it's also a lot harder to embody that all the time. And so that's kind of where it just shined light on an opportunity for me just to be even more vulnerable and share when these hard moments do come. So that's kind of why I wanted to hop back on and kind of circle back around to like what has been happening, because it's not always rainbows and butterflies, but I am so resilient, right? Okay, yes, the last 2 days have been a lot of crying and tears and things like that, but in the grand scheme of things, 2 days isn't much time. And it wasn't like 2 days straight of just like crying. No, it was like intermittent, off and on, and life still moved on, But just the fact that I'm able to bounce back from this essentially like in 60 minutes, because that's when I actually decided to like deal with it, is pretty powerful. And so I just want to just challenge you to to speak your truth. I want to challenge you to cultivate and like keep improving on your resilience, because resilience is everything. And I know there's like this meme circulating around the internet right now about like, I don't want to have to be the strong woman. I don't want to have to be strong all the time. I don't want to have to be resilient. Like, let me be softened. Let me slow down. Like something along the lines of that. Which I get it. I'm like, okay, yes. And also though, like, I'm a firm believer in flow and ease. Flow and ease, that's what I want to operate out of. That's what I operate mostly out of, is flow and ease, right? That's not always the case. Life is not perfect. Life is not always going to be flow and ease. So what happens when it's not flow and ease? What happens when there's a little roadblock in the way? What happens when something messes up the flow? You don't want to be strong? You don't want to be resilient? Okay, fine. You're going to be miserable forever. But if you're resilient, if you're strong, if you cultivate the right tools and techniques and modalities to cultivate emotional intelligence and resilience, that's how you get back in flow. That's how you create flow again. Because you can't just sit down here and just wait for flow. It doesn't work like that. You sometimes have to create the flow. You can't just ride it out until in time things will get better. Like, no, you have to kind of be the change that you want to see. You have to make the change happen and take action in creating the change and the shift. So that's where like resiliency is key. And that's why I love tapping and breath work and meditation, like all the other modalities that I use and incorporate when I'm feeling funky. And one other thing, I want you to just like really actually be real with yourself. Because I know I was kind of lying to myself for a little bit about some things, like, okay, I'm okay, when really like I was not okay. But if I would have just addressed it, maybe, a week ago or a couple weeks ago, maybe these last 2 days would not have been as intense, and it would not have been a whole 2 days. It might have been, half of a day or a couple hours, or, you know what I mean? And so I take responsibility for my own suffering, and if you want to move through some things or learn how to move through your emotions and deal with your emotions too, I strongly recommend getting into breath work and tapping and some other holistic modalities. And if you don't know where to start to, I'm a resource. Reach out. We can have a connection call, a clarity call. We can just have a conversation honestly and just see kind of where you're at and like what you need and how I can help. Because it's really powerful. It really, really, really is. But I don't want to spend any more time on here because I have a quiet house and I got a new laminator. This sounds so dorky. Is this what adulting is, right? Like, I got a laminator, so I'm gonna go laminate some things. But I love you. Seriously, you were made for this. You are more resilient than you know, and let's tap into that resiliency, okay? Speak your truth. Oh, after I was untapping too, that throat thing, that lump, completely gone away. It was gone. It was all the way gone. So I just cried of gratitude, just like grateful, happy tears that I am where I am. And I seriously, I'm back to like this place of love, and I'm loving my life, even though there are things that I do want to be different. I still love where I'm at right now. And that's a beautiful place to be accepting. And you can only accept after you've actually grieved. And I was just trying to accept where I was without grieving. So I'm glad that I grieved. Now I can accept. And now I'm in a place of love. And I heard thumbs upstairs. So I'm going to go. Love you.